Facebook fallout. Senator Ed Markey is calling for CEO Mark Zuckerberg to testify before Congress again, following backlash over the social media company's data partnership with Chinese phone maker Huawei. Yesterday, the senator tweeted this. For more than 10 years, Facebook has shared users' personal data with Chinese companies, including one with close ties to the Chinese Communist Party. I'm calling for Mark Zuckerberg to come to the Senate and explain how U.S. national security was not jeopardized. Here's a look back to what Zuckerberg said during his testimony on the Hill back in April.
We didn't take a broad enough view of our responsibility, and that was a big mistake. And it was my mistake, and I'm sorry. I started Facebook, I run it, and I'm responsible for what happens here.
Joining me right now is a former mentor to Mark Zuckerberg, early investor in Facebook, certainly, and managing director and co-founder of Elevation Partners, Roger McNamee, here with us. Roger, great to see you.
Always great to be here.
Thank you so much for joining us. So you've previously voiced your concerns over Facebook and the business model. How do you feel about the response from Facebook? Where are we now in this issue?
We're nowhere near the end, unfortunately. The company had this motto for years called move fast and break things. The notion was don't let anything get in the way of growth. The reality is it was really move fast, break things, apologize, and then move on as though nothing has happened. And that's really where Mark is now. He's apologizing because every rock we turn over has another scandal hidden underneath it. And this one in China, we don't know exactly how bad it is. What we know, though, is that Facebook was not monitoring these companies. And if the Defense Department is telling us they won't buy Huawei products because they're afraid of bugging and hacking, I think we have to be concerned that Huawei, with 10 years or whatever of control of Facebook user accounts, is going to have had the opportunity to download all that data.
I think this is one of the biggest stories of our time, frankly, when you look at China and what has occurred and the fact that there's this massive technology transfer going on where China acquires American company, forced the transfer of technology. And then you see Facebook. You know, it's not the technology or secrets, but it's all their user data.
Well, and Mark has worked so hard to try to get in the good graces of the Chinese government in order to have the opportunity to participate there.
Yep.
And so I do not find their response even remotely comforting, because their practice has been deny, and then only admit to the bare minimum when they're forced to. And the situation here is they weren't paying attention. They have no idea what these guys did, and they had years to mess with this data.
Yeah, and there are other technology companies that wanted a foothold in China but would not adhere to the China rules in terms of forcing the technology. Look at Google. By the way, Google now reportedly bracing for a fine of up to $11 billion following an antitrust issue in the European Union. That, of course, investigation into the company, according to the Financial Times, is coming to a head. This would be the second major penalty for Google coming from the European competition regulators. What's going on in terms of regulation within tech? We're just at the beginning of this.
We are, and it's really important that we have some threat of regulation, because the companies have done a terrible job of self-regulation. I mean, they have been given all the room in the world to manage themselves, and yet we've clearly seen one disaster after another. And the issues that Google faces in Europe are not unique to Google. Amazon has competitive issues in many markets around the world. Facebook is clearly behaving like a monopolist around the world. And as a consequence, regulators, I think, are appropriately worried that the entrepreneurial economy, especially in this country, is being stifled. These guys are blocking the new startups from getting going. They're really limiting the rate of innovation in this country, and that's not the American way. The American way is we let 1,000 flowers bloom. We let entrepreneurs create new things. And these guys can be really successful without blocking every new thing that comes along. And it's important for regulators to make that point and find ways to constrain them so that we can have this kind of economy that really supports jobs all across America.
Are there other companies out there that are also selling the data right now that we don't even know about?
I assume so. In fact, I think you have to assume that whatever data you had that was in one of these systems has been compromised somewhere. The only company that has made a strategy of protecting your data is Apple. And even there, I don't think you can feel 100% safe. But you're going to feel much safer there. The worst offenders on this have been the Android operating system that Google owns and Facebook, both of which have been so porous that, frankly, you just have to assume everything has been compromised. And so that's why when regulators look at this, the important thing to look at is to protect users from inappropriate usage of their data going forward. There's no way to get the data back. So what you have to do is place restrictions on how it's used. We have to be given control over what any company does with the data that they have.
There's that, but there's also the issue of conservative ideas being crushed, being, eliminated. So we had Kevin McCarthy on the show recently, the majority leader. He said that these companies are editing the information that we all see. And we had Devin Nunes, the chairman of the Intel Committee, Sunday on Sunday, who said the same thing.
There's no question that they edit like crazy, but I think the perception that they edit one side more than the other is not actually correct. I think what's going on is that these companies are not transparent. We have no idea what they're doing when they edit. I think in reality what they're doing is creating what is known as a filter bubble around each person. They give each person what that person wants, and their idea of what that person wants may or may not be correct, but their notion is they give you your preferences all the time and reinforce that.
But you saw the story last week where if you typed in GOP in California, you pulled up a list of ideologies on Google, and one of them was Nazism.
No. That kind of stuff is exact.
How does that happen, Roger?
Well, the answer is this stuff is totally automated, and these people have no idea, right? They're trying to sell ads. They're not worried about truth. They're not worried about fact. They're worried about engagement. They're worried about their revenue. They want to give you what they think you want.
Now they're going to be worried.
They obviously thought somebody wanted to know the party sentiment, right?
Now they're going to have to worry about regulation. I mean, Devin Nunes said, look, if somebody doesn't come in the free market and do what Google does and make sure to promise us that they're not going to be editing things like this, then it's fine. If not, we're going to have to look at this as if they're monopolies.
You have to look that way. And I think it's about time people start to look at them that way.
Yeah.
The right answer in the short run is to force them to have a button at the top that gives you a choice of view. You can give me what you think I want, but I want to be able to see an unfiltered view as well.
That's a great point.
Okay?
Real quick, would you put money into this sector today? Do you want to buy any of these stocks?
I don't want to buy any of them. I still own some Facebook. I still own Apple. I still own Amazon. I would not. I think we're very late in the market cycle. I think rates are still rising. There's a lot of uncertainty on global trade, and the tech industry is really sensitive to global trade. So I think it looks good relative to the market, but I'm nervous about the market.
You are so good. How's the band going, Moon Alice?
Awesome. Playing a lot of rock and roll. It's summertime. MoonAlice.com for anybody who wants to check it out.
You are my rock and roll mentor. Roger, good to see you.
Always great to see you.
Roger McNamee.